Welcome, and in this tutorial I'll be starting off by giving you some background information about parameters. Parameters are essentially used to organize your values and information about the object you want to create. So in this case we want to create a button box housing. So let's start off by inserting a parameter. I'll click the plus and I'll name the parameter wall thickness. Okay, so for this parameter I want to use the inches unit. You can also use millimeters and other types of units like angle and currency, so on. The wall thickness I want to use in this button box housing is 0.2, so I'll insert that in the expression value. Click OK, and now it's added to all my other parameters. So now we can use these parameters to create our button box housing. Now that we've set up our parameters, let's start by creating the button box base. I'll click Create Sketch and select the XY plane. Now I'll create a center point rectangle. Now we can use the parameters to define the length and width of this rectangle. So I'll use box length and box width. Now we've defined our base. Now I can use the fillet tool to create corner radius. So I'll select corner radius parameter, and I can do this for the rest of the corners. Okay, now I've defined the base of the box. So I can select Finish Sketch, and I can extrude the sketch by the base thickness, which is 0.2 inches. So there we have the base of our box. Now that we have our base, we can create our walls. So I'll select the base, and I'll create a sketch. I'll select the Offset tool, and I'll insert a negative sign plus the wall thickness parameter to create the outline of our wall. I'll click Enter. Now I can finish the sketch, and I can select the wall, extrude, and I can extrude by the wall height. And there we have our base of our box. Okay, now that you have your wall, you can create your lid by selecting the top surface of the wall and creating a sketch. So typically here you would start creating your layout. So maybe you want a button right here, so you'd create the hole for the button. And maybe you want to create a rectangular pattern to line up all your other buttons. And that's where I have my other button box here, where I've created my lid and my assembly of my button box. I've inserted the various buttons I've made, and I've also created a top lid with all the holes required to fit the buttons. Keep in mind you also need holes for screws to mount. So for example here, let me take out my buttons here, and I can show you what I've used to insert the screws. So I've basically made little brackets here on the sides to allow screw holes so I can mount the lid to the box. So here, if you were 3D printing your base, I would typically use heat set inserts, which are fairly affordable online. And they're basically little inserts that you can use with a soldering iron and insert little threads into your creations. So I would typically use that, or you could just screw the screw directly into the plastic. It could go either way. So here I have my lid. It's basically a plate with all the mounting holes required for my buttons, and that's really all you need for your button box housing. So now we can go on to creating our PCB.